Here we go. So, thank you for coming over to Brap Life and for giving me your time. I appreciate it because I know you've been insanely busy. Do you want to introduce yourself to the world?
I'm Adam Sams. Most of the world in dirt bike knows me as Gator. I worked for Max Gersten, Sharko, US Hard Enduro, and now I work with the US Hard Enduro and Cody Webb I work for Cody Webb, who rides for Yamaha. So
Yeah,
that's where I
awesome.
stand now.
So I do want to touch base on how you got into that gig, but before we do that, let's start at the beginning. How did you get involved in riding, and then like how did that like evolve into you doing like mechanic work?
Yeah, my riding stories. I don't really have one. I had a KLX 110, wasn't allowed to have dirt bikes when I was young. Got a pit bike when I turned 18, and that was no, nothing. Once I got 28 or 9, I bought my first full-size dirt bike and
Hmm.
played in the yard in it. Nothing came of it, just had a dirt bike in the garage. Then sometime around 29 or 30, right then when I bought that one, I was like, hey, maybe we'll try to be a mechanic. I like doing this. And the neighbor boy down here was an XC3 GNCC Pro. Use that term lightly. I had podiumed a few times at GNCC. And, I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Hey, man, I'll follow you around and help you build your bikes." And, did that for a year. Me and the w she's not it's my wife now, but girlfriend back then, we drove all over the country and followed them around, and that got me, like didn't get me anywhere. I was just meeting people and stuff, and I ended up starting to ride hard enduro. I don't know how I came about discovering it. I'm sure YouTube, but this was the very early days, like 2019 was the first TKO I ever did. And
Yeah.
got into the TKO gig. And then I was like, huh, my grandpa wasn't poor and he had had a talk with me and he was like, nobody ever told me I didn't have to work my whole life, Adam. And I'm like, I owned a little painting business and I was like, I'm gonna try to do dirt bikes, I guess. And didn't get any, I was just that XC3 guy, I didn't get anywhere with that. And so I started doing a series, the Hard Enduro series in 2020 and COVID hit. And
Hmm.
I was able to win everything because nobody came. Like, if you could get off work, like all 5 rounds were in a 7-week time period, and so like nobody could get there. Like that's how I
Jeez.
kind of got into it. But I bought a KTM to do that, and I put 1,356 hours on this '09 200 that I had. That is what taught me how to ride. That is what taught me how to build bikes. That is what taught me
Hmm.
everything. I did bottom ends, cases, transmissions, like went through everything on it. And
Hmm.
that got me into the beginning gigs. And then it was just a combination of many schemes that I came together to actually get in the mechanics world. But it all started just me
Hmm.
self-funding myself and paying. I paid for engine parts. I bought everything and went to all the GNCCs with that boy and didn't get anywhere, but then once I started racing, I grew the mullet out, started wearing pit vipers, and it was all just so people would recognize me. It was like I wanted to
Hmm.
be recognized. I didn't really love racing. I'm scared. I'm a scaredy cat, and so like hard enduro is. It started getting harder. Like when I went to the first grinding stone in 21,
Hmm.
terrified. No interest in riding that anymore. And I was like, I gotta do something different here. And so that was when my
Yeah.
first scheme came in. Like, I knew I wanted to be a mechanic. Max Gersten
Hmm.
was, in my opinion, like the number one privateer in 21.
Hmm.
And so I drove out to
Yeah.
Arizona by myself in a camper with a bike and a trailer. And I had hired Max to be my trainer. I was like, hey, Max, after Grinding Stone, do you want to do some classes? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, maybe I'll just come stay at your house for a week or so. And he was like, hell yeah. So I ended up hiring Max, which got me at his house. And when he went out and did another clinic, I like started tinkering with his bikes. And
Yeah.
that is how that ball got rolling, and then we had a race in Texas, like, 3 weeks later, and I was like, "I'll just stay here and not race that Texas race and go with you," and Theodore Kabacheva flew in for that one, and he had no mechanic, and I was a nobody. I'm, like, sitting there with Max and chilling, like, kinda tinkering on his bike, and Tio had no tools, nobody to help him. So then I got in
Mhm.
with Tio and started tinkering on Tio and Max's bike, and, like, both of them got top 10 that weekend, and it was like I was on cloud I was hype team, and, did the remainder of that half that season with Max, and,
Mhm.
Silver Kings that year, Sharko came up to me and was like, "Hey, what kind of contract do you have with Max?" I'm like, "Contract with Max? I'm spending a significant amount of my own money to follow Max around the country in my RV, like, I'm just out having fun, you know?" And they're like, "Well, would you like a
Mhm.
job?" And I'm like, "Maybe I'll just come hang out with you boys and make sure I
Mhm.
mesh with the group." Get to the
Yeah.
camper, pulse is at 800. Call the old lady at home, I'm like, "Cody Webb's team just contacted me about coming and helping them work." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, yeah, apparently I played it cool. I told him, "I'm gonna have to hang out with you guys and see if I mesh before I make a commitment." So I blacked out, went spent a couple days with them, and the rest is kind of snowballed. I spent 3.5 years there at Sharko and never got to
Mhm.
actually work for Cody. I as
Yeah.
I got more involved, me and CDR, the other mechanic, I got to touch Cody's bike. I would do the grunt stuff. Cody R is who kind of took me under his wing, Cody Richelderfer,
Mhm.
and I give him full credit. He trained he everything I know about. I knew basics of dirt bikes. He can answer
Mhm.
any question you have about how the spark is he can go in depth on every part. And uh, most of us mechanics are not. I know quite a bit about the bikes, but like we change brand new parts off of brand new bikes. When the bike has a
Yeah.
problem, I have a box of brand new parts. I don't do a lot of troubleshooting. And
Yeah.
so he is a genius. And with Sharko, we were kind of small and trying to build bikes and like develop the bike, I guess. And so
Yeah.
he just taught me I wouldn't get to be here without him. I'm probably working for Cody because of him. Because
Yeah.
him and Cody are real close, and I'm sure Webb contacted him before me, and like, "Yo, you think Gator's got it?" And but, yeah, Rachel Durfer is who I owe all my mechanic stuff to, and then he pulled me down there to Triumph where he is. This was just on a side gig. I was down there helping organize the shop because he knew I was a worker and stuff, and I got offered semi a grunt gig at Triumph. Like he was like the main guy up there, Bobby Hewitt was like, "Hey, any interest in coming down here and working?" And I was like, "I'm Ohio for life, man." He's like, I
Yeah.
figured." But yeah, and then Sharko, that's a whole random little story, fell apart and my heart was crushed and I was like, "Oh my God, nobody in
Mm.
the and they brought a new guy in. New guy didn't get rid of. Richelderfer was leaving. Kind of helped Richelderfer out the door, and then the next week the guy was in over his head a little. Wasn't in over his head. He did Supercross. Never did hard
Mhm.
enduro, and I am I'd been there 4 years already, and I kindly told him that he did not know what he was doing, and I was kindly let go the next week. I wasn't
Oh,
surprised.
no.
Uh, and so,
Yeah.
so I was crushed because like Sharko was my life, and I was like, oh my God. And then Matt
Yeah.
Musgrove from the series called me and was like, "Hey, Gator, I heard you're free from Sharko now. You want to work for the series?" And I'm like, "Yes, hell yeah." So that's how I got the gig with the series, which I don't even know what I am with the series. I'm the East Coast guy. Uh I keep all the bikes. I keep all the bikes here. I maintain the bikes. I bring my camper and trailer there and set everything up. I'm considered like a course official, I guess. We show up the week before the event
Mhm.
and ride the courses, and
Mhm.
I'm getting too old and I can't ride for 7 days now. And so like I've got there and I have a best friend that goes with me now, Chase, and he does a lot of the course riding. Because I'm like, Matt,
Yeah.
by the time the race comes, I'm cooked, man. I'm almost 40 years old. I can't ride 7 days anymore. So yeah, now
At least
Cody
not
has
that kind of terrain.
no, and I am and we are riding the course. And so like
Mhm.
the Ohio race this year, Chase did not wake up in time, and the promoter comes up to the camper. He's like, "Hey, you guys going? Chase ready to pre-run the course?" And I'm like, I knew he was in bed. He was up late, and I'm like, "No, you need me to go with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, that'd be nice." I'm like, "I'll be right out, man." Total. The race hadn't even started yet. I put in an hour trying to get through a lap. Finally, like 45 minutes in, the guy sees me just like struggle busting. And he's like, "Hey," without him saying, "Hey, dude, I see you're absolutely sucking back there." He was like, "Hey, just go around this way and make sure that's open there and meet me at the other side." I was like, "You can just say, take the path around," because I don't want to do that either. But yeah, then the Cody thing aspire. I knew the Cody thing was he'd hit me up a year ago or 6 months ago, I don't know time frames, and was
Mhm.
like, "Hey, Gator, you're going to be at all the events for the East Coast because you work for Matt Musgrove. Do you think you want to
Yeah.
stay a day later after the events and help me prep my bikes?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, for sure." Months go by, we keep talking, blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Dude, I want to get back to the West Coast. I don't do West Coast rounds." I was like,
Yeah.
I'll come work for you." I was like, "Can I come work?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'll come work for you for free." And he's like, "You ain't coming for free. I want you to come out here and work." I'm like, "Yes." Like, and so just kind of, and then this week I just got asked. I knew he was going to Erzberg, but I'm like,
Mhm.
and this week he called. He's like, "Hey, I don't think I got to ask, but you want to go to Erzberg with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, like, for sure." The Yama dog at Erzberg, Webb and Polteris. Like, well, Polteris, I don't know. He just got
Yeah.
hurt this week, but he'll be there, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Fingers crossed he'll be back by
Yep,
then,
yep. He
hopefully.
was in our
I didn't
row last year when I was there, or two, I don't know what year I was there, a couple years ago.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's really cool. That's been a lot of it's kind of crazy how things happen, right? Like I in April when I showed up at a hard enduro for the first time, no one knew who I was. And then by the last one that I went to on the East Coast, like a bunch of people knew me and they were like saying hi to me and like there was people saying hi to me that I didn't even know yet and they were just like
On
introducing themselves and I was like, "Okay, this is interesting." But it's funny how quickly like people get to know you when you're somebody who kind of stands out. And like you
that
said the
was those
mullet,
daggone
it's
the glasses
definitely
and the
stands
hair.
out.
And I cut it off like my second or my third enduro cross season. I cut it off because it's not you have
Uh-huh.
long hair. It's a commitment. You can't like just get in the
Yeah.
pool. You can't just take a shower. Like either put your hair up or you're gonna be working on it for 10 minutes, getting it ready to go. And so I cut it off and people didn't recognize me. It was ridiculous because it's like they would just see me they didn't know me that well. They just knew the guy with the glasses
Yeah.
and the hair, and so, like, I would
Mhm.
chat with people that I'd known, like, the race before, and they, like, took 1 second. They were like, "Shit, you're Sharko guy," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Your hair," and I'm like, "Damn," so I this is 2 years, finally, it's coming back, white trash and all.
The hair is you. The hair makes you.
Yeah. And Webb usually runs a mullet too. He runs them randomly, so I'm sure he'll have one throughout the
Mhm.
year.
That'll be great. You guys are the
Yeah,
mullet team.
yep, yep. On the Yamahas, on the hillbilly bikes, like
That's amazing. I love that. So, how has it been working on the Yamahas? Like, it's a little bit different because you've been working so much with Sherco. Is that like really different, or is it easy for you to transition over? I mean, you guys have been doing like a
it's
lot of
eh,
different stuff than a typical Yamaha. So,
y- the bike has. It's the most simple bike I've ever put my hand. So back to that GNCC rider I worked for, he was on Yamaha. You
Mhm,
got to ride 125s, but he also had
mhm.
250, which I worked on a lot. And so like it's come full circle. The first bikes I ever worked on trying to work for somebody riding was a Yamaha. But they are
Yeah,
like, we haven't raced it. It could break. I don't, it's not proven, but obviously it's proven. It's been out since '05. They haven't changed anything. But it's not proven to Cody yet. But
yeah,
man, everything is so like simple and bulletproof on it. You can tell like that it has just been refined. The main stuff is like how an exhaust is mounted on. KTMs are better
yeah,
than Sharkos, blah blah blah, but they're not. A Sharko is just a tab, bends, not the. Break the frame in half before you bend the tab that holds the exhaust on a YZ. So if Cody can
yeah,
get this thing dialed in, it will be. It's been fun. Like I posted a couple videos on social media and picked up 2,000 followers like instantly just because of how much people want to see this Yamaha being built. And
yeah.
so
Yeah,
hope
it's the talk. Like, I mean, even on
yeah,
this podcast, I think it's come up every single podcast almost since it was announced. And I'm like, like I don't bring it up. It just happens. Everybody's just so excited about it. I'm like, all right, cool.
uh, $8,000 dirt bike. I knew when he started getting some videos of him rock hopping and he can do it on a
Yeah,
stock bike. He can make any bike look good, you know what I mean? But like you can just start
yeah,
hearing the motor. The first videos he put out, the thing is wound up. Like he's having to keep it in RPMs, and every video as they get further, you can hear him getting the grunt down in that motor and getting everything he wants dialed in. I don't think you'll really see our complete bike until next year. Like
yeah,
everything's got to be. We can't put a stator in a bike that we've never.
yeah,
If the stator quits, his race is over. We know the stock
yeah.
stator is going to last. It's lasted since 2005. Our joke's always since '05 because whenever you buy parts, you pick '05 to 25 on the schematic there. Obviously, there's some small changes, but like in general, like it's very similar. And so that's always the joke. Like that thing's proven, Cody. It's got 20 years of use on it. Like so, this first bike is not going to be as like there'll be it won't be the batteries won't charge off the stator. So like his fans
Mhm.
and stuff, it won't I can't think of the exact word and do the internet trolls are aggressive out there. My first few videos that got like 100,000 views, the comment
Uh-huh.
section is fierce. You use what it's a double-edged sword though, because the one where I used a wrong word got more than double the views
Mhm.
of every video that I is just like perfectly orchestrated because it's got a
Mhm.
hundred and something comments because people are slaughtering me. But the slaughtering is I had a two-stroke apart and I called the jug or the cylinder a cylinder head. Where
Yeah.
on a two-stroke, it's the little thing that's this big that sits on top of the cylinder, and on a four-stroke, the whole thing's called a cylinder head. So it was
Mhm.
a simple mistake, but like, man, I got tore up for it. Like, people say they're sorry. This guy's got to be working for Webb. I'm laying upstairs in like Webb's spare bedroom. I wake up in the morning. I'm like, dang, 1,000 new followers. 40,000 views. I'm like, look at all these comments. I hit the comments. I'm just like, the people hate me. So I'm just like sitting there waiting for Cody to wake up. I'm like, Webb, I need some assistance. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm not handling it well. He's like, what? The haters in the comments. He's like, oh no, if you're not ready for it, you can't get in the comments. I'm like, I know, I'm stuck in them. Like, just can't believe people think I'm an idiot. Like, but it's
L like, I mean, people are just absolutely insane on the internet, though. Like, I posted a video of static balance, and this guy on TikTok was like getting upset with me because he's like, anyone who's under 5'6" shouldn't be on a full size bike. And he said that I'm giving bad advice by telling people that I'm a small person on a full size bike. Like, I shouldn't be encouraging that. And I was like, what? And he like fully freaked out. And yeah, I was like, what? I just posted a video of me doing static balance. Like, it's I
There's a
wasn't
lot.
claiming to be like giving advice or anything. Like, what? But
I feel
some
you. They
people.
are. If you if yours gets into trending at all, if you start picking up like random views that people aren't your, the people come out of the woodwork in the comments, like, and then most of them are
Mhm.
I don't look anymore, but man, that first week when I was at his house and those videos were popping, I'm looking at him, I'm like scrolling, I'm like, who is this nerd? Like private, they would be for sure. Like, what a squid, and but now
Well, and
I
that's
real it's part
yeah.
of the game. Like I should
Mhm.
almost say a wrong word or do something because it blows the video up because engagement just gets that much
Yeah.
more and starts snowballing. And so I'm kind of with Yamaha. I don't want to, it's Webb's baby. I just am getting to come be a part of it. And so, like, yeah, I got a lot of
Yeah.
videos of stuff that I want. He makes money off of it and YouTube and stuff. I'm just trying to, I don't make anything yet. So, like, I don't want to
Yeah.
post anything. I want him to share everything, get his paychecks and stuff. And then I'll try
Yeah.
to see what I can do with what I have. He's so nice, he would never
Mhm.
say anything, but I'm just like, "You wanna take me to Ershberg, please? Like, I'll be good." Like, I won't share any of our secrets in the
Yeah.
garage. Like, so, but, oh, man,
Until
it'll
later.
yes, yes, until I'll let you talk about it first, like, and then yeah, he talked about a part on a Gersten thing, and I didn't think he was allowed to talk. I don't know anything. I'm just a buddy that goes to his house, I'm not in contact with anybody at Yamaha.
Yeah.
Webb is in charge of the team, and I work for the team, which is I'm CW2
Yeah.
Racing. That's what my check says. Um, but
Yeah.
he talked about something, and then later he said, "I'm not allowed to talk about that anymore on a different podcast." He's like, "But go watch Max's podcast if you want to hear about what I'm talking about." And I'm like, "I didn't know. I didn't think we should talk about that yet." Like,
Oh, that's funny. It's it's kind of crazy, but I mean, there's just so much going on with that right now. So, I mean, it makes sense that you can't talk about everything. Um, like you said, you guys are going to be building stuff and testing stuff, so you've got to figure it out, and I'm sure there's a lot to it, and like red tape and stuff, getting things to work and like research and development. I mean, that stuff is always like super red tape and hush hush until it's
oh,
proven. So,
but Webb is a pretty. He could do. He's very smart. That's why it's like perfect for him to do
mhm.
this gig, kind of setting. Like I haven't
Yeah,
been there. He could do everything on his bikes. Like he is a full blown
yeah,
mechanic engineer, all of it. But
mhm,
just to have a second, I come there and do the. I'll be building wiring harnesses. I think we're going to end up. The plan is to maybe he'll have and distribute certain things. Like, and so if we
mhm,
end up building a perfect harness that goes with this fan setup with this thing, and you can buy it all from his website. This is all so preliminary, but the vision down the
yeah,
road of what, but we don't even really want to be sharing everything now because it could change. Like he ran this part yesterday and talked about it, but it's not on today. But the buzz is so hot right now. It's just
mhm,
throw it. Throw it out there, and it'll get. His YouTube channel is popping right now. I was just looking at it before I talked to you, like seeing where his views were compared to because he used to be a couple thousand views a video, and now he's 20 to 100. Like everything, if it's got this logo on it with Cody Webb, it's hot,
yeah,
which is sweet.
yeah, definitely.
Which I'm
That's
a
really
motor
cool, though.
mouth,
I'm super.
so I
It's
can't wait to
okay.
be in
We're
the. I
editing,
can't wait
remember?
to be. I can't wait to be in the pits when they for the first race because I'm just gonna be standing there and all my Yamaha stuff. Like, come ask me questions, people. I'm here to talk. I haven't been in the pits for a year. Chit chat it
Oh,
up.
it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna
Yes.
make sure to go over there and just listen. I just want to
Oh,
hear it all happening.
it'll be a lot of chatting.
That's
So
really great. I love it. I'm super stoked for you. This is really awesome opportunity, and you seem to be having a lot of fun with it. I mean, you're
yes,
a pretty expressive guy and you're pretty like animated, even more so than normal. So,
that's what they say. I guess. Yeah,
oh,
I've been having fun with the series, but I used to be in 2021 when I was with Max in Sharko, my first year. I kind of quit working
mhm,
with Max, but Max was starting. Was he working in the Sky Pixel Media was there? Anyways, Blake and them. And I
yeah.
go back. They used to mic me up and give me the mic. I would just be a psycho, like yelling, cheering. I don't know. I lost a little bit of it over a couple years. I don't know what. I just when I watch videos, I'm much more reserved, and so I was like, I'm bringing the heat back this year. Like I'm gonna bring the hype back into the pits and be the watch old videos of myself and be like, okay, that's why you love. I still love it, but like I was like, man, I got
You
complacent
were
and just
in
like,
it more. Yeah.
yeah, and I
I
got
think
more
it's a
focused
little
on
bit different. Hmm.
once I got with Sharko and it was like such a dream. I'm fully focused with Cody, but like it's me and Cody. We're kind of like two buddies hanging out,
Yeah.
trying to prove something. Like if the bike broke down and it was my fault, I would be devastated. But I don't we're
Hmm.
going into it with more fun. Cody's like, I'm 34. I'm only doing it for I don't know. He may do it for 10 years. He may do it for one. I don't he's on a multi-year deal, so he'll be doing it for several years, but not as much stress from him, not a bunch of stress from Yamaha. Like they're just
Yeah.
getting a ton of publicity. But as long as the thing don't break down, I think we won't get any bad publicity. Even if he gets,
Yeah.
we're going to podium. We're king of motos. We got. I mean, we're hopefully we'll win, but we're on a really underrated bike versus Tristan Hart, who's really freaking good on a really good bike. And so, like, we got a chance, but we're not naive. We got a lot of competitor up against us, you know.
Hmm.
So, but at least if I just don't want the thing to break down. Please don't break down. Which I have a
Well,
hundred
going back
percent
to the social
record.
media side, like
Yeah,
if and hopefully it won't, but if it does break down, do you know how many views that's gonna get? Because everyone will share that. And
dude.
they'll just be like,
I
"Hey,
need to
look,
make
it
them
didn't work."
real. My other posts will blow up. They'll be like, "Told you this guy sucked. I knew it was no good." Like,
Remember when he said that one wrong word?
yeah, I slaughtered him. Like, but then all my
No,
other videos, I try to make good, and it's Jordan's like those aren't as good because you're not yourself. People
yeah,
like Max Gersten is one of the people I always he is such a character. And when you know him behind the
yeah,
scenes, like you've seen him hanging out with us,
yep,
and you can watch certain podcasts and times when he goes to be serious and it's not as loosey goosey Max. And when
yeah,
Max is just a character, like and the character, I love the character. I think the rest of the world does too. Like, and so
yeah,
bring the character back.
yeah.
But
Definitely. I feel like when you're interested in something like you said, we've had several conversations, several races, we've seen each other, hung out. Like when you're really into something, you do get that animated and you get this like little
like,
glint in your eyes, like a little mischievous child. And like that was what I saw when I started seeing those videos of you working with Cody. I kind of saw that a little bit and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like awesome. So I'm
season.
super excited for you. This is going to be really cool to watch how this like plays out over the year. But
But
what's the race on the West Coast that you're most excited to go to?
I'm sure it would be Hawaii, but I don't the reality of me going is probably not everything has to come directly out of Cody's paycheck, like, comes out of his pocket to
Oh, yeah.
pay me to go,
Yeah.
and I've already built the bike for Hawaii. It's not totally, we'll put the finalizing parts on it, but you can, by the time this goes out, the Hawaii bike will be built. And so, like, a
Yeah.
brand new bike is going to King of Moto or King of Hammers with us, and it just goes in the container, never gets touched, and goes to Hawaii. At the moment,
Mhm.
Hawaii is a 1 day, one race event. And so Cody's opening
Mhm.
a container up, getting a brand new built bike out, and we'll race it for 4 hours. I'm making stuff up, but we'll just do the race.
Yeah.
And so for him to have, my flight will be 1,000. So for him to have
Yeah.
in the thousands for me, and if he has a mechanical and brings it to the pit, it's over anyways. Like he could maybe it, it's not realistically worth me going. So that would be my favorite one to go to because I've been to every other one
Mhm.
already. But I don't think I'm gonna get to
Yeah.
go to that. But I get to go to Ertsberg, so boo hoo me. Like
It's gonna be a crazy year. It's a lot of extra travel for you coming from East Coast to West Coast. I mean, as somebody who did that several times in 24, that's a lot. Are you gonna be driving most of it? Or are you flying?
I am on an airplane every second. I will drive nowhere. Furthest drive is from
I was just curious.
Cody's house to the airport. But we do have I still work for Matt Musgrove. And so
Mhm.
I will be at every East Coast round driving, plus all of the
Yeah.
regional rounds. So we have a second event at Roar this year. Different
Mhm.
could be talking as far as I'm aware, different property, same group. The Reading
Okay.
Riders group is putting on the season finale for the East Coast rounds, but it's at a different venue that they have access to. So we have got
Okay.
that's that's a 9 hour or 10 hour drive for me. It's 12 hours to the Michigan rounds. TKO's 8 hours. Goats is 6 hours. Virginia's 5 hours. We'll put 15,000 miles on the bus this year.
It's quite a bit.
Matt will love that.
Quite a bit of driving. Oof, that's a lot of energy. How are you gonna
Yes.
find the energy and, like, the motivation to keep doing that? Like, that's gonna be like
The
boom, 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 boom.
the main rounds will be the what are they called? The premier rounds will be butter
Mhm,
because I get there a week before everybody gets there, but
mhm.
I know the Yamadog and Webb are showing up, and I'm not doing the same thing. Like last year, I was the director, and so we had our little gig, and it's getting dialed. Our
Yeah,
crew that puts the series
yeah.
on. Um, we call our this is Max again. I look up to Max, and so whatever Max says, I'm just like listening to it. I'm like, what's this guy saying? But he says us who run the series, it's a group of he refers to us as a group of alphas. He's like, every last one of
Yeah,
us, there's 6 or 7 of them. He said, we're all alphas, and none of us tell each other what to do, but none of us would
mhm.
let the other one do. Everybody just always is do if I'm in my camper not coming out, nobody would ever question it. Uh,
Yeah,
and we've just like morphed this team of greatness that all helps each other out and kind of has found our roles. And I started
yeah,
hauling a family with me, and so, like, I like working on the bikes, and so my role kind of transitioned while they're cooking breakfast, I'm prepping their bikes and getting them out. The boys head
yeah,
out at 10 o'clock. I hang out with the family for an hour or two. They come back for lunch. That's when I roll back out. And like, it
yep,
was never officially written. It's just sweet, and so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that, being back with the team. I'm not part of a team, I'm self-employed when I'm home, so and I don't have employees anymore, so I'm just,
yeah.
like, alone all the time, and so, like, to get back with the boys and the team, and so
Yeah,
I'm excited, like, it does get mundane not mundane, but, like, Enduro cross, I think it was my 4th season. It's the same airports, the same parking
mhm.
lots, setting up your tent in the same spot. I stay in the same
Mhm.
hotel. I know it's boohoo. I was going to Enduro cross. It was sweet, but like you lose you're right. You lose the spark, like
Mhm.
the flames. So like the combination of the team dialed and Webb coming to half the rounds will be
Yeah.
freaking sick. Like, but no, the Keystone Challenge kicks our ass. And then to
Yeah.
know that we're about to do the Keystone Challenge, get on a freaking plane and do Erzberg a couple days later. I don't know.
Mhm.
The riders are savage, but we have to get we get there 8 days early because we spend
Yeah.
a day coming up with a plan and then 2 or 3 days at Roar, then 2 or 3 days at Sugarloaf, and then we have the events for 3 days.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
that one will be I'm going to be smarter this time. When I hit it, I'm gonna be way smarter. I hit everything hard last year, like trying to help my darndest. And I had a motorcycle wreck 2 years ago.
Mhm.
1190 super adventure. Me and the old lady were just an adventure, not super. Me and the old lady had hit a car going 55. Guy cut us off, and so we T-boned him perfectly, and it we were down for
Oh
months
my
and
god.
months. Like, yeah, it was a good one. So that I've never recovered from it. I broke both wrists, tore a knee. Like it was a good one. But it's my fault. I'm beyond the point where I should be in shape and back to where I was, but just got weak and old when it happened and sitting for 6 months. And then now I'm
Mhm.
like, there's no excuse, but I'm not going to hit it hard the first days when I get there. I'm gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna lay the pit. I gotta plan this out, Matt, because by the time race day shows up, I can barely crawl out of the camper. Like, and now I've got a 1 year old, and so that was.
Mhm.
I think everything's gonna be better this year. It was good last year, but it'll
And
just be.
she's like walking and will soon be running, and so you're gonna have to chase her.
She is wild. I go to Cody's house, and I'm like, "Is that what your daughter does all like, she won't break that right there?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "My kid, we can't have anything anywhere smashes it."
Yeah.
Like, so it's gonna be interesting in the camper this year with her, but she only crawled last year, which was terrible because you can't really put her down, and she walks this year, which is terrible because she's hard to keep up with, but at least, like, we'll set up her little people can call it what they want. We'll put her daggone dog cage thing out, and she people are like, "That's a crib." I said, "That's a dog cage without a top on it. You can call it what you want." Like, putting Cammy in her cage out there, like, but,
She's got her kennel all set up.
yes. But the Moto family you kind of were there. It's great.
Mhm.
It's so friendly, like, everybody watches and helps and
Yeah.
stuff, and so, Jordan, you spend a bunch of time with a 1-year-old in an RV. We did
Mhm.
9 weeks with her in it last year, just going to the rounds only. That wasn't any vacation. That was just going to the races,
Yeah.
and she didn't go to one, and I was like, "Wow, that was really nice." Like, without her there, it was like a break. Like, usually we're going to the races to be dealing with the family, like, but we're
Yeah.
really the drives will be worse now because before she didn't get around, and so she just like sitting there and didn't move. But now she hates the car seat, and so we'll just be prepared for it. I don't know. It's going to be terrible.
It's gonna be different for sure.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, I think a lot of people it was really cool that we always talk about community on this podcast about how off-road is very different from like motocross, for example. And like people are always helping each other. That was one of the things that I noticed. Um, his families, like, they all know each other, right? Like, we talked about, like, you miss being around the boys, like, I miss being around everybody because I'm kind of pretty isolated most of the time as well, and so, like, the races are my time to socialize and, like, to be around people and, like, see all my friends and stuff, and it's like watching people help with each other's kids and all kinds of stuff, each other's bikes. It's so cool to see the community rally around each other. And that's a big, big part. of why I kept coming back because Battle of the Goats was my first hard enduro last year, and
Oh,
I wasn't sure that I was going to continue in the world after a whole bunch of stuff happened, and I was just kind of like, well, I'm going to go to this next one and kind of see how it is. Like, I'm an outsider. Like no one's going to know who I am, but whatever. Like I had a lot of fun, so I want to go. And then all these people remembered me. You guys remembered me and you guys like welcomed me in and I was like, okay, that was unexpected. But it's that sense of community that over the next couple races turned into like a family. And now I have people like I haven't seen some of these people for like 4 months and I'm like, it's like missing part of my family for
on
Christmas. I was like, I wish I was with you guys. Like
get to
it's
see
it's just yeah. So it's um it's crazy how it evolves, but everybody's just so awesome in that community. Just freaking amazing, helping people
it's
out, and I love it.
and you could, but you don't, you realize you learned it too. If you look up to somebody in hard enduro like Cody or Tristan's a little less, but he's still there. They're just in the
Yeah.
pits sitting there hanging out. Like if you didn't know who they were, you could. My dad, hillbilly, he don't care who anybody. He'll be sitting right there talking. I'm like, you know who that was, Dad? Nope.
Yeah.
Like that was Pat Schmott. Like, oh, and he's like, which that's what's cool about that. And like as the
Yeah.
series I work for the series also, but we're trying to we're maxing out at certain events with people.
Mhm.
Like you can only have so many racers on these tracks and formats, and so like Matt's trying to work with everybody to get spectators as our next thing. Like, because we can't
Yeah.
have more racers at certain events, and so what do we do to get more families and get the pits rolling, more people
Yeah.
wanting to just come watch? Because as you know, they're not the easiest to watch,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
if you're not on a bike or know somebody that can get you. They're spread out usually, and then you
Yeah.
go to a spot
If
and
you
you
have
only
a
get
kid that you're toting around.
totaled. You're only going to get to
Yeah.
watch them go by for 30 seconds in one spot, and
Yep.
so it's we can
Yeah.
hopefully, like as we were talking earlier, Tyler, Battle of the Goats. I don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing. He just announced it's a new format.
Yeah.
It's totally open. He's like, We need to put a show on to blow this up big," which it's all for. He gets more money. Everybody, it's all for money and sponsor. Not money, but to provide, you know what I mean? If nobody
Yeah.
makes money,
Yeah.
it's not gonna continue going. Like that's what
Mhm.
keeps the wheels rolling.
Yeah.
So hopefully, but pits is, as you know, I met you in the pits. Like I'm a
Yeah.
pit guy. If I can find a family that's first race ever and they got a tube in their tire, I'm like, bring that thing over here. I probably got an IRC we can put on that. Let's see if we can find an old beat up moose on there. And they get away. I'm like,
Yeah.
go make sure you email Matt, my boss, let him know we took care of that. Tough Gator is out here helping you.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. You guys are absolutely amazing and you guys like you said, people at the top are even just completely open and part of that community and I think that's really really cool. I had that first one I met Dylan Santoro and I still talk to him like
Oh,
probably weekly. Like, and I'm moving up to northern Arizona, so I'm not going to be too far from where he's at and I'm actually going to be taking lessons from him. So,
uh,
like, but he's like super accessible, like you said. A lot of them are like, just you got to talk to them. They're just people. They just happen to be really
it's-
talented at writing.
they
But
got families and kids. Yeah, they're totally
mhm,
normal.
yeah, exactly. It's just, I mean, we build them up because they are so talented, and I mean, it takes a lot, especially in this sport, to do what they do. I mean, like you see some of the lines that Cody takes, and you're like, how? Like, how the hell is he doing that? But he's still like super nice guy. I've gotten to talk to him several times and like I don't like talking to him in person because he's so dang tall and I'm so not. I'm like, I'll talk to him from like 5 feet away from him so I don't have to like crane my neck up. But he's super, super nice guy. And like I think he met me one time, he remembered me, and I thought that was super cool because I previous to being around hard enduro, before I even rode a bike, I was around like supercross and motocross, and it is not the same in those disciplines. It is very, very different. You do like you have to pay to meet the pros, and when you meet them, like a lot of the times they're just very like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then I'll sign your thing and then move on to the next person. Like most of the time they're not
Um,
very approachable and they're definitely not going to answer questions on bike setup and stuff like that. Like it's just it's a very different world.
yes, yeah, I mean, I'm still a Webb fangirl. Like when he's out there, if he's at Endurocross and I would be watching Endurocross back in the day, I will black right
Mhm.
out if Cody's doing something, and I'm like, oh my god, I work for the team. I can't be acting that crazy. Like, but yeah, yeah, it's fun stuff. Do you go to any enduro
But I think it's
crosses?
cool. I have not, no. I'm hoping to next year, but I was kinda the hurricane happened, and so I couldn't do a lot. I was pretty stuck where I was,
Were you in
at
Florida? You
that
lived in
point.
Florida before?
I was in Tennessee. I was in
Okay.
Tennessee,
Oh
so I
yeah,
was
the
right in
big
the
one
middle
came
of all of
through.
that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
forgot about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um But, no, I hope to get to that next year, but I don't remember what I was saying before that. I was going somewhere. It's gone. Oh,
Cody
well.
being nice.
Oh, I think it speaks to how good of a person he is that you've worked with him and you've known him so long and you still do fangirl like that because if he was like a jerk, you wouldn't be like you would be like, "No, I don't really want anything to do with this dude anymore," you know? Like
I I didn't
I
know when I left Sharko, I didn't leave. I was
Mhm,
removed from Sharko. When me and Sharko separated, I
mhm,
worked for Cooper at the time.
mhm,
I never heard from Cooper. Cooper
mhm,
unfollowed me on social media. Uh, I had no clue. I was like, we were buddy. I didn't. Well, I was never as close with him as my other riders, like Keith and Luis and stuff. But like, I've been with him 2 years, and so I'm like, what did this
mhm.
guy say to these people? Like to make no, they just kind of did me dirty, you know? So I was like, he's the person that did it to me. I was like, he's told them something. Like I have no clue. And
Yeah.
but then when Webb contacted me about right after it happened, Webb called me and he was like, "Hey, dude, I let it sit a day because I didn't know what to say to you, but fuck, that sucks." And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck, that sucks." Like when he's like, "I wasn't at the next round," you know, and so he realized like, "Fucking
Yeah.
Gator's not here. Who's this guy that showed up?"
Yeah.
And he offered to fly me out to help. I own a painting business, and I basically
Mhm,
Sharko just like I had flights and stuff, and they delayed a phone
mhm.
call by 5 days. Blah blah blah. Pulled the rug out from under my feet a couple of weeks before I was having the baby. Cost me $4,000 maybe. Webb called me,
Whoa.
offered to fly me out and make up the money difference to help. He was painting at his house. He's like, "You want to come out here and help me paint? I don't agree with what happened and how it happened
Yeah.
to you at Charco. I don't want to be in that bundle." And I was like, "Dude, you don't even know how much that means." The last like 3 days, I'm thinking like, I've worked my everything I could for these guys to like I never had a mechanical, ever had a bike breakdown, nothing.
Mhm.
And then like Cooper cuts me off. It was an ugly few days, but then like Webb called and said that, and I didn't dig details. I knew he had heard what they said because he was just kind of beating around the bush. I still don't know. I don't
Yeah.
care because like whatever they said was not true because Cody hired me to be his mechanic on Yamaha, you know. But like it was an ugly
Yeah.
few, just an awkward moment, and like I was Sharko Adam kind of, and it was like, oh, they don't want anything to do with you anymore, and I'm like, damn, do I even go to the events? And I talked to Matt about it. This was before I worked with him. And he's like, "You are not anything with Sharko. You were Gator with Max before. Uh,
Yeah.
nobody will." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I ended up, I shook it off. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was a crappy week. It was a crappy moment there for a minute. Like the
Mhm.
boys, I thought they'd cut me off, like, but then the Yamaha thing
Yeah.
came out and Cooper started following me again. I'm like, you've never talked to me still. Uh, my
Wow.
wife, my wife is tough. Uh,
Yeah.
her name's Jordan, and we call her Cheryl Double Barrel because she's a click click boom. And Webb and Cooper were standing with her at Goats last year, and Cammy was there, and Webb said him and Cooper walk up because they're still on Charco, and they're like, Webb's like, "Hey, Gator's why I forget what he calls her, female Gator or something," and Webb
Yeah.
goes, Cooper looked over at your wife and says, "Hey, Cammy." Jordan just goes, iced. Webb goes, I looked at her, I looked at him, and I was like, holy shit, there's a situation. Like,
Oh my god. I can
but
totally see her doing that.
I'm sure I'll hear. I have nothing against. They told him something to make him. It was all
Yeah.
that one guy came in and just like stirred
Yeah.
shit up, and then he was gone the
And
next week. Like he left
yeah.
immediately. Did Sharko dirty, got rid of all of us that like loved it, and then
Mhm.
bailed. I'm like, you are a squid.
That's such a nice word.
Yeah, yes.
Well, okay. Um, this is gonna seem super random, but you had said you were known as Gator and you were Gator with Max. So how did Gator become you?
It is a completely uninteresting story. It takes 1 second to tell. I wasn't living with Max. I had my RV in Max's yard, in
Uh-huh.
21 when I was, like, staying with Max and he was training me, and I was trying to get a job with him, and his parents lived there, and I
Mhm.
was going out to eat with him, went to his parents, blah, 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 and his dad just called one day, and he's like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah. That boy Gator still out there in the yard?" And Max goes, "What did you say?" He said, Gator, that boy from Ohio." That was it. It's just stuck forever. He said I just looked like a I apparently haven't. When you get me out west, I have a touch of a that people can tell I'm from this side of the country more than that side. And so he said I just looked like a good old gator to him, and it's stuck forever. Like, and now I would be out there chomping the gator claw when Max goes by, and just got fun. And then the Max thing, I'm sure that helped transition into me getting a job with Matt, and just because
Yeah.
there's so many things that stacked up along the way. Like when I was going to do the Max thing that day or that
Mhm.
month, no, I was driving to Silver Kings to meet Mac to go with Max. It was like our third race
Mhm.
together. My furnace went out, my hot water heater went out. It was a significant amount of things in the week before, and it was thousands of dollars in fuel to get to Spokane Water, a 36-hour drive in a bus that gets 5 miles a gallon. Uh, all that went out. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do it anyways, babe. Did it. That race is when Sharko talked to me, got my Sharko gig, blah blah. You can basically so many things happen that me working with Sharko
Mhm.
forever, I thought it was a big waste of my life. Not a waste of my life, but I put so much in and got nothing. Clearly, Cody
Yeah.
saw me there at
Yeah.
Sharko, called me, Gonder, you can't just go do, never stop doing. Like I just keep
Mhm.
going, and I'm not if you can get in a position to not worry about money, the opportunities
Mhm.
that arise are and the money will come and follow it, but like not chasing money. And when I was chasing, once I got with Shark, I think for years it was more about money. I didn't want to leave to go do that. I need to get paid this to come. And I don't know, the joy kind of left. I don't have a clue. But yeah, just I kept doing stuff that didn't make sense to do. Like spent a bunch of money working on Yamahas back in the day for a GNCC guy, and 8 years later, 6 years, 7 years later, I'm here working on Yamahas with Cody, and there was a bunch of ups and downs and bull crap that led to something may happen here. But for now, I'm on an up right now. It's a good one too.
I love that though. Like I personally believe everything happens for a reason. I think that, you had the snowball effect happen and that's what's getting you here now. I mean, I think a lot of people could look at their life and really put together things like that happened. This thing led to that thing that led to that thing. If this thing had never happened, it's that whole butterfly effect, like
Yeah.
if this one thing hadn't happened, your whole life would be completely different. So
What what
I
opened
think
up a lot of
that's really, really cool.
what let me open doors up was my as we get older, your income goes up typically if you're doing things right,
Mhm.
you start making more. I never changed
Yeah.
my means of living. And so I kept the
Mhm.
same car, the same house, everything. And so what it let me do was I'd become self-employed then. And so I could have time off, but it let me all of a sudden I could make what I made 4 years ago in 4 months. And so now I'm living on the same amount and I
Yeah.
could have 8 months off. And so that is how I
Yeah.
started. That was an extreme way, but I started with Max, and basically, I just kept my means of living this to this day. I still drive a '96 F-250 Power Stroke. Uh, I'm going to Erzberg with Cody. I don't even I won't even discuss
Yeah.
money. Don't care.
Yeah.
Going, you know what I mean? But it was all
Yeah.
because I well, finances, when you figure out finances, you don't even have to be rich. I never made a lot of money. I thought I was good with money and I was not poor, but didn't have a lot forever. And then like once I
Mhm.
understood it and dealt with it a little bit, it opened that's part of how I got so many doors open, like just staying living
Yeah.
poor and letting me go out and chase dreams. Like
Yeah. I think you have to decide what it is that you want and what it is that you're willing to sacrifice because I think for a lot of us, especially in this world, if you want to do things, you have to sacrifice something else. Like riding and racing is expensive, and traveling to get to all of these events is expensive. So last year when I got into it, I mean, I was making really good money, but I still like you said, I didn't have a nice place to stay. I kind of gave up um getting nice places everywhere I went, and I went to staying in my car and kind of doing the camper life thing, and, that was a sacrifice I was willing to make to get to those events, to see the things, to be around the people that I wanted to be around, and to just be basically living bikes all the time. Like, I'm on my bike 4 or 5 times a week usually, and if I'm not on it on the weekends, it's because I'm at a race or some sort of bike event. So,
mm,
like, that's my life now. Like, my whole family is like, "You are completely different." I was married 2 years ago, and they're like, yeah, since you dropped him, like, your life has been totally crazy." Like, people in my family keep telling me that they wish that they could do what I've done and, like, that I'm following my dreams, and that's really cool, and it's weird because I've never been that person to inspire people, but somehow I have because of my obsession, and it all comes from I found a thing and I've been putting in a lot of work and I'm willing to give up a lot of things to do what I want to do. So I think that that's kind of what you did, you figured it out. You gave up certain things a lot of times. You said when we're younger, it's kind of the culture of the country is we're supposed to go after all these materialistic things. We're supposed to have these new cars or new bikes or whatever. And if you go against that, sometimes you're better off.
that's I didn't yeah, yeah, no, dead on. I'd have lived a very different life than my family members, certain ones, but their retirements are
Yeah.
better than mine. But man, once I hit like this almost 40 age, I don't regret any of it because like
Yeah,
I am really good. Terrible compared to a lot of people. I am way better at making money than I was when I was younger. And so like
yeah,
and my body sucks way more now than when I was younger. So I do not regret doing all of the stuff I did and spending a little bit of my money. I could have saved a little more back then and been better, but I figured it out when I got older. But the stories and I flew in a helicopter over Erzberg with Johnny Walker. I'm just like a little guy from Ohio that wanted to work on dirt bikes, like, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just go to the races and show up and hang out and whatever it is you're into.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what I keep telling people is like if I could do what I've done in the last, we'll call it a year now, even though it wasn't quite a year, like literally anyone can do what they want to in their life. Like
And just to
I
go
the
be
go ahead.
around the boys, I don't
Mhm,
use Max again, Max, Cody, Josh, Shecker, people that are at
mhm,
the top of their game or have been, they are
mhm.
different than the rest of us that have just lived the 9 to 5 life forever. They are go-getters. They are everything in their lives are much more thought out than the average 9 to 5 guy. And so just like being in their presence, trying to be, I want to be the dumbest person in the room. Like, so I'm learning the whole time, and
Yeah.
it's they're very open to letting everybody hang out. Like you just learn so much being
Mhm,
around other people and stuff.
mhm. Yeah, and that goes back to the community. Like nobody in this community hides anything, I feel like. People are always telling me, and that's kind of what sparked all this podcast stuff is um hearing people's stories, how they make their money and still race, or how they get their kids to races, or things like that. Like that's what sparked all of this. I met Makana Barger and his family, and I heard about, the fact that they came from Hawaii all the way to North Carolina. First of all, I was like, "Whoa." And then hearing like Makana works, he does landscaping and he does like anything he can, like whatever to make money because he paid for his own rental bikes when they were coming over here. And he was 14. So, or 15. But yeah, what kind of kid has that work ethic these days?
Oh,
Like,
minimum. I had a guy call
yeah.
off today. I hired a guy. It was his first day. Called off. I was like, son of a bitch. He's not
Yeah,
coming back.
it's
He's not coming back tomorrow.
crazy. But the work ethic, like, I mean, I was a supervisor in a lab and I mean, there's a lot of people and it's just like, dude, people don't want to work these days. And I understand there's like this whole cultural shift, blah blah blah, the whole different podcast, but like I said, kids these days don't have that kind of drive a lot of the time. And so when I met Makana, I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." So I started talking about it because it was inspiring to me. Started talking about it with other people and they're like, "I don't even know who that kid is." And I was like, "Dude, he's riding A class. Like he's good." And they're like, "No, I have no clue who he is." So I started hearing more stories and realizing nobody knows what the guy next to them on the line is doing or where they came from or anything. And I was like, I'm super inspired by all these stories. Like, I think this is really cool. It makes me want to push because I know how much that person pushed?
Yeah.
So that eventually I was just like, I'm just going to start this podcast and see. Maybe no one will ever listen to it, but maybe somebody will, and maybe just one person will get inspired from one of these stories. And now, this is episode, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be like 35 or 36. Um, I don't remember where I'm at, something like that. And then it's in 16 countries now. Like, this is way bigger than I ever thought it was gonna be.
Uh,
Like,
you're doing more than
and
me.
it's inspiring.
I'm just trying to get the channel started. I ain't even started mine yet.
My YouTube is not that high. You look at the YouTube does not get hardly any views, but I'm also really bad about posting on it, and I literally just only post the podcast videos. So if I did more interaction on there, that'd probably be better. I need to work on that, but it's been a lot. It's been, traveling the country, trying to do all the races and then trying to get my training in. I was training for an ultra marathon and then like all of these things happening. So I've done what I can.
I
But but it's been really cool because people love it. They love hearing these stories. They love to be inspired and they are getting inspired across the world. And I just think that that's the coolest thing. That's why, like, I've talked to you at the races and I knew that you have this story, but I didn't know very much of it. And I was just like, you worked for Sherco and you were working for the series. And so I kind of wanted to explore it more. And like I said, you're a character. So I was like, this will be really fun to explore and kind of see. And and then he got hired for Cody, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay. Well, now he's gonna have
That'll
more to talk about." So,
that'll be fun. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
most people don't.
So,
My whole motorcycle career is still to this day semi-funded by painting, because I can
yeah.
it's it's real hard to make money in the motorcycle world when you've
Mhm.
compared to a college degree or a skilled blue collar. Like, I still paint probably 4 months out of the year to
Yeah.
it lets me not care about the money side of things. I'm not gonna ask Cody about money to Erzberg. I'm going to take care of
Yeah.
me. It just comes with it, kind of, but
Yeah.
yes.
So, going back to your personal riding, what like, do you ever just go out and ride for fun now, or is it always when because you're always busy. So,
I went in to paint this morning at 5 a.m. and I left at 6:30 a.m. because I knew I had to eat dinner before I got on with you at 8. So we'll get off here by
mhm,
9:30 or 10, and the baby will be in bed already. But I usually get up at
mhm,
4. But
yeah.
what did you ask me? Sorry, I got on a ramble.
When what is your riding like if you ride?
Ah, so when I used to ride, I was putting 250 to 400 hours a year on my bike, which is how I did
Wow.
1,400 hours on that little 200. I now have had the
Mhm,
same Sharko since 21, and it may have 400 hours on it. And I got it with 80 hours on it. So when I ride now, I don't enjoy hard enduro anymore because I kind of do it at work. So I work is with
mhm,
Matt. My pleasure ride is I take
mhm,
my camper to this exact same spot I've gone to for years, and I want my boys to come, my Ohio
mhm,
guys. I text them regularly when I will be at my first super enduro I was at. Patty was on one side, Billy was next to him. I'm with Cody and Cooper, and I took a picture there, and I was like, just so you guys know, I was homesick at that time, and I was like, I would rather
mhm,
be chilling on the ridge with you boys right now, like, and here I am, and I still to this day, if you meet me out there, I will tell you how great Ohio is. You gotta come ride. But it's more, I think, my people in that they could come
mhm,
anywhere with me, and I have this group of 5 or 10 guys. We don't ride hard enduro. We ride hard enduro, it's soft enduro. There's a 50-year-old in the group, and there's an 18-year-old in the group, and so we go the whole spectrum. But, yeah, I don't ride much at all.
mhm,
I don't have it in my garage yet,
mhm.
but I should be on one of these girls pretty soon. And so when I get my YZ here, I think I'll be right. I don't know. I mean, I'm booked. My painting job. Not now. I'm taking painting jobs at the end of May, which now I just am going to Erzberg. So you're going to be into June. And once I get home in June, I've been on the road for 3 weeks. I have a kid, and so like my house will be not just there'll be things they're waiting for dad to get home and fix, you know what I mean? And so,
Mhm.
riding will not yeah, I don't ride. I'd ride hardly mm, I've been wanting to work out because 'cause I'm going to the hard enduro burro shoot in a couple weeks,
Oh, yeah.
and that's like a 4-day shoot where we go out and ride, and if you've
Mhm.
ever gone out and rode with any of the top guys, when they just trail ride to the spot, I am on the ragged edge of my skill level just trying to get to the spot. And so I did
Yeah.
nothing to get ready for it, but I was like, I need to do some leg stuff because I am a turd out there. I'm gonna just go out there and turd it up. Like, look good doing it is all I can do. I'll be
And
on Webb's.
for those shoots, like you guys have to carry like camera equipment and stuff, don't you? Like, well, I've that's what I've
I
heard.
weaseled my way in. I will be loaded. So, like, back in the day
Yeah.
when Sky Pixel was working for the series, the whole series
Mhm.
stayed at my property for I own 1 acre. Don't let me make it sound like I got land. But it was packed. Matt's rig was here. There was 3 or 4 RVs out there. People were living in the house. People were living in the garage. They were all here for a week. But Blake and
Uh-huh.
Rachel were here. Rebecca, Rachel. Fuck, I don't know. I always get her name wrong. Rachel. No, it's Rebecca.
Yeah.
But Blake and them were here, and they stayed. Big hospitality. And so when I heard
Uh-huh.
Cody was going there, I just like hit Blake up, and I'm like, Blake, here, there's a shoot. And he's like, don't don't bring or don't talk about blah blah blah. You can come, Gator. Like I'll put you on the and then he's like, I'll put you on the menu. And I realize it's all like there they have some expense in it because Blake and Skypixel buys all the food, takes care of cooking everything because they go out all day long and come back. And
Mhm.
so I kind of just weaseled my way with Webb, but they know me. I will be work. I'm excited. I'm packing my U-Sway bag now. I'm like, I need to get everything. What does the KTM boys have? I need a different tool. Like, I just want that goes back to the be as helpful as I don't say no ever. Like, I'm not gonna just sit there and chill. If there's a boy working on a bike, I'm gonna be the last one to go to bed working on his bike with him. And next time when Cody
Yeah.
retires, who knows? That boy may remember it in 10 years and give me a call.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
I think
that's
that's really awesome. And
I'm probably the most I can't wait for that. Getting to stay with the boys in an Airbnb, I don't know, I'm sure Will, Tristan, Ryder, it'll be all the top guys, and they're all, as we've been saying, pretty just normal humans that are
mhm.
they're funny, like, and then they're a little cocky, which they're allowed to be. They're the best. And so there's
Yeah.
a lot of shit talking, which I'm all for shit talking. Any talking I'm for. So I can't wait for that's I fly out the 16th to go to Webb's. January 16th, we'll build some bikes, King of Hammers, and then we are in St. George for a couple days after that, doing the
Oh,
Burrows shoot.
fun. That'll be awesome. Oh, I'm so excited
Yes.
for you. I love those episodes I've been watching. Like, I think I'm like one or two behind just because of everything that's been happening. Um, But yeah, I absolutely love them. I was out with the girls and we did a hard enduro ride last Sunday and I beat my bike up pretty bad. I broke my clutch master cylinder perch. So I'm waiting
That's a
for one
quick
of those right now. But
that's a quick
yeah,
$200 right
so
there.
yeah, it was a little it was not fun. It hurt a little bit. Um but it was a fun ride and I was pushing my limits quite a bit. So I was with two girls who ride hard enduro, and then the girl who was leading us just won Takate. And so we were out there, and I was just like, I am so not
And
skilled enough to be out here with these people. But I told them at the end of it, I was just like, the whole time I was smiling. I was having so much fun because, like, I enjoy the struggle. And I was just like, you guys, I was like, one of these days, I'm going to be one of the hard enduro burros. I was like, I'm just like a teeny tiny baby burro right now.
well,
But I
hey,
was like, that was so much fun.
do you ever ride? Did you ever lower your bike? I know we discussed it a long time ago.
Currently in the process.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I knew we'd talked about it. Do you ever ride? Have you
Yep,
rode with
I just
Luis at all, Forsley?
mm-mm, not yet.
Okay,
One
go. You
day,
kind of you're
hopefully.
living in the now that you're in that area. They're all in, not all of them, but she's in SoCal.
Oh,
I know she
really?
comes over.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where she lives. I know she comes over to the desert a lot.
Hmm. I'll have to see. I'll have to see if I can find her at some point. But yeah, I'm in the process right now of lowering it. I don't have all the tools because I've been moving and I had all the tools at one point, but they've been in my vehicle and then thus now spread around. So it's been a pain in the butt to just try and get everything done. But I had to change my bars, I had to do the lowering link, and then I'm waiting for the master cylinder to come in, and then I gotta change that, and then I don't know how to work on bikes, so this is all,
I
like I'm sitting here, like, YouTubing it, so that's why it's taking me so long because 'cause I'm like, "This is this is a lot, and I don't wanna mess it up," so I'm just very thorough about it. So, like, I'll start removing a part, and then I'll go back to the video, and I'm like, "Okay, okay, they did it exactly like this, I have to do it exactly like that," so, yeah,
If you'd have
but
just bought
I am doing
the Yamaha doesn't have a clutch master cylinder, it comes with a cable clutch.
it.
Not good, not good. Webb took it off. He said it was one of the downsides of the bike.
Oh, yeah. No, I I need to figure something out for that because I that's well, really long story on that, but basically this is the second one I've had to buy in a year. So, I'm
Do you run
like,
full
it's a
wrap
lot of
handguards?
money.
Are you on full
Yes.
wraps or
So
no? You break them
mhm,
with full wraps
now I
even?
am.
Oh, okay.
I did this time I did this time because yeah, I honestly think that probably it was probably compromised after my fall down the mountain last month, and I just never realized that it was that bad. And then I hit a rock in just exactly the right way where it was just like psh, so
Seared it off.
it was a
Do you
lot of
carry
fun.
any
Yeah.
you fix it on the trail or no?
I didn't actually it was fine that whole rest of the day. It wasn't until actually the other day I was out here doing a bunch of maintenance stuff and then I just happened to notice that it was cracked and I was like, "Well, I mean, it's still okay." So I zip tied it and everything and then
Uh-huh.
I went out for another ride and I was like a mile into the ride and it gave out, just like broke into pieces and I was like, "Okay, now I'm on the ground." So
Oh,
yeah, it was a good time. I got to go over the bars again, so I had a lot of fun with that one.
hell
Um,
yeah. Order more parts.
yeah, so there's been a lot of money, and the fact that I haven't had a job in 2 months has been, it's not so fun. So
The first year or 2 of learning hard enduro is very it's expensive, and then as you're there a few more years, you learn how to fall, how to bail, how to drop the bike so it quits break you still have the big get-offs, but the little get-offs
yeah,
don't cost you as much money as you get better because you get better at dropping that thing.
yeah. Well, and my biggest issue all this time has been that, like, I just can't touch the ground. So what I really learned this last weekend was that I can't watch other people do things to learn how to do it anymore because I'm past that. Like, I am totally different in my skill set now. It used to be I loved to watch people do a feature and then I could be like, okay, this is what I have to do. Now, um, a lot of people are taller than me and a lot of people can put their feet down. And all of the girls put their feet down going up this one feature. And I was like, okay, all right. I can't, I don't have as much balance as they do. Like, in my head, all of these things. So I tried to put my feet down while going up it and I fell. And when I didn't try to put my feet down the next time, I made it and I was fine. So I was like, okay, I need to start trusting myself. And every single time I watch them dab and I'm like, okay, I've got to do that too. For whatever reason in my head, that's what it was. And every time I fell, I probably fell, no joke, like 50 times in the 14 miles that we went that day. I picked my bike up so many times. I was so
Bumped
exhausted.
ya.
Um, it was terrible. But I had so much fun because it was stuff that was all challenging me, and it was stuff that, like there was a couple things I made it up that I could tell by their reactions, they didn't think I was gonna make it through,
They're like,
and I was
"Hell
like, "Okay, this
yeah."
is kinda cool." Like, yeah. But I was definitely, like I was gassed halfway through that, and they were just like, "Oh, we're almost back," and I was like 5 miles later, I was like, "Are we actually almost back?" Or
They were
like, "Is
getting
the
you
sun
through it.
starting to go down?" Like, yeah, I was like, I just don't want to be. We were in like a canyon. I was like, I don't want to be in this canyon when the sun goes down because I don't know. We're in the desert, man.
Right.
Like, who knows what's gonna come out? So, like, there's caves and stuff. Like, yeah, it was a little scary.
Yeah, you're new to the
But
desert life, kind of, huh? Are you always East Coast
uh
before now?
so I'm actually from Arizona originally, but
Oh,
I didn't ride when I lived here. So I learned how to ride in technically in Iowa, but I was living in Minnesota at the time. Um and then I did all my riding Midwest and then I went out east. And so, oh, I went to California for like a month. I rode like 2 or 3 times in California, and that was it. But that was like my bike was brand new. So like the first 10 hours of my bike was California, and then I went to North Carolina.
when you need
So,
it, when you're new to riding and you have a brand new bike and you've been to a motocross track, those guys don't get scratches on their bikes. And all of a sudden you come to our place and you see guys with brand new shit just grinding the wheels, and you're like, it makes it easier to do. Like,
yeah.
moto boys, they don't do anything. And you see us, we drop the thing, and pulling it out of the trailer, and we're like, oh shit, pick it back up. Like, makes it easier to be. It's not. We bend pipes and plastics. Like, you may bend
Yeah.
bars, but like at the end of the day, a pipe and a set of plastics, we can get our bikes to look. Our motors are always really good because they don't ever get rode hard. Like,
Yeah.
so it's give or take. Moto boys are hard on motors, but their bikes look brand new. Our motors are brand new, but our bike looks like it's been to hell and back. Like, it usually has
Yeah,
been to
my
hell and back.
my bike has been through a lot. It's got 76 hours on it. So when I met you guys in April, it had 10. So,
You would,
I mean, for me, that's a lot. That's like
yeah.
more than I've ever ridden since I've owned a bike, which has been about 3 years. Um, but yeah, so for me it was a lot. For me it was huge progression in
Oh,
since
yeah, and
essentially
76
April.
hours of hard enduro is different than 76 hours of trail riding.
Not all of that has been hard enduro. Like
Well, yeah.
like maybe the last like 20 hours has been some
Uh,
hard enduro because like I did chicken fight at Brushy. I did little sections like that and I just attempted them just to see if I could. I could not, but
uh,
I wanted to
we
like see what my skill level was. But
chicken
I had
fight
fun.
is a hill we discussed in our last like US Hard Enduro little meeting with all the promoters.
Yeah.
It's a hill that we wish we could replicate a version of that at every venue because
Yeah.
you're right. I bet you if you go back now, you're gonna be better. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
dangerous to try. You could try
So,
all day long and not get hurt, but a
yeah.
million spectators can get to it. The pros,
Hmm.
we can put a banner at the top and make them they still go right up it, but pros can see it. You can go there and
Hmm.
ride it and not be afraid of it, and you know right where you
Yeah.
got last time you were there. And so,
Yep.
like, that is a main hill in the series that we wish we could have something of that 100-foot wide that actually has many doable lines in it, and,
Hmm.
spectators can get to it because that's when I'm spectating, I go straight to chicken fight. It's like a 5-10 minute walk from the pits.
Yep.
Uh, People are gonna blow their wad there. The pros are going to be there for 30 seconds or so,
Yeah.
which is a
Yep.
long time in hard enduro. You can see them get
I
stopped.
actually It's funny. I ran across a video of Tristan going up it this last year and just the other day. So it's funny that you mentioned this. It literally took 6 seconds for him, Cody, and Will to go through.
I know the
I was
exact
like,
time when you're talking about. They were on that far left side and they cut across at the top. I was
yeah,
standing up
yep,
there and I
right.
was like, "What the front door? Where did that come? Where the hell?" Like, everybody else is
Hmm.
just standing there like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "I saw it. They are gone." Like,
Yep. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, it was I just ran across that. So it was really funny that you said that.
but yeah,
But
that is
yeah,
a
it's
great hill.
I wanted to try it so bad, but I was so scared. And then I was there with a friend of mine who took me to it, and like it was my first time going out that far, like because you take the single track and you go all the way out the other direction and then you come back to it. Um and so we had done all that single track and we got to it and I was like, okay, I don't think I'm ready for this right now. Like it's the end of the day. I was like, maybe like, maybe in a couple weeks. I'll come back in a couple weeks and we'll do it. Well, then the hurricane happened. And then it was like 2 months later before I could get back. And it was completely different. So the
Oh,
line that I had watched people do and that was like, I could probably do this line. I was like, that's the line that I'm gonna do. Like I sized it up and everything. um, and then when I went back, that's gone. It's just completely
it's gone.
gone. Like all the dirt was washed out. So it's a lot more rocky. And so it was like, oh shit. So I had to relook at it and I was just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do what my friend did. And he is a way, way better rider than I am. But he went up and he did it. And I was like, all right, just gonna go for it. And I mean, I love the fact that people in this community are so supportive in the fact that I want to try things and they let me try things and fail at it and not just like jump in and try and do it for me. They sat there for probably 30 minutes letting me try and get somewhere
to,
on that freaking hill.
to get she's getting
I got
practice
like,
for this year.
yep. So I got like 75% of the way up. Um, and then some other stuff was happening. There was like a medical emergency that was happening. So we just got my bike up the rest of the way and I went and helped with that. And then it was like not time to ride, had to had to help out. So
Oh man,
um
you'll make it. You'll make it this year for sure.
yeah,
And
I think I will. I think that in the heat of the moment, I think that with how much I've been progressing since I left that area, since I left the East Coast, I feel like I've been through a hell of a lot of stuff out here. I mean, I fell off a freaking mountain. So, I'm not scared of a lot of things like I was before. I fell into a cactus. Like, I've
oh,
done
the
a lot of
jumping
things that
chola
are
thing.
scary. The
Was it the
choya,
chola?
yeah.
Oh, that thing
Yeah.
got me at Max's one time. Never again will it get me.
Yeah, I was shifting into second and I shifted into neutral and I just lost all my momentum going around the corner. And so I just like fell and it was either let my face and my whole body take the hit or put my hands out. And so I put my hands out. So I got it in both hands.
Were you with
It was
people that
great.
could get it out for you?
Yeah. Yeah, before I even got myself unstuck, because I landed on the whole like trunk, I guess, of the thing. So like pieces didn't really fall on me. I was just stuck to it. Before I could get unstuck, the girl behind me had dropped her bike. She's like, I've got tweezers, and she was like ready.
I'm working
So
on
I
it.
was like, thank you. Thank you so much. I was like, I cannot believe I did that. I lived in Arizona for half of my life and never ever got cactus. Never had cactus as a kid. And then I
Never.
was like, then I start riding dirt bikes and it's bound to
I'm gonna
happen
say
when
it.
you're at my skill level. So
My first day there riding with Max, I nailed one of those things on my arm. I was like, "What the fuck is this thing, Max?" He was like, "Oh, I got you." I was like, "It's not coming off, bro." It's in there
it's
good.
it's your initiation. Like if you're gonna be
Yeah.
a dirt biker in Arizona, you gotta have it happen. It's just, but those were my two fears. My two fears were falling into cactus and falling off of some sort of exposure. And now I've done
Uh,
both. Neither of them was as bad as I thought. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it again for fun,
uh,
but
how do you handle
like I
exposure?
since then I've been a little bit timid. So I've
I can't handle it
definitely
at all. Like I went to Silver Mountain. When I go in the gondola, I lay in the bottom of the floor. Can't look at anything. Grinding stone.
I
It's the scariest race to even go to. Like it's
oh really?
all exposure. It's probably scarier somewhere else, but when you can't handle exposure, and I live in the East Coast, I can't see off of our hills. Like there's a
Yeah.
thick forest. You go out there and it's
Yeah.
like I think I would just slide on my butt, but it looks like it's like a 200-foot butt slide to death. Like I'm like, not an option. Yeah, my little
Yeah.
butt doesn't. I don't like it at all. I can't handle it. Like I physically can't deal. My hands are sweating talking about it.
I've always been fine. So I'm somebody who doesn't like to go over bridges. I don't like that at all, but living in the Northeast, I had to go over bridges all the time, getting to and from Maine and everything. Um, so I kind of got over that fear, but I've always been okay with like mountains and stuff like that. Like I can be on a really high mountain on a ridge. I'm totally fine. I've stood on the edge of the Grand Canyon and been totally okay. But as soon as it's a fire tower or a gondola or
Oof.
something man-made, I'm like, "No." Like, count me out. The gondola at Silver Kings this year, I was like, "Oh my god, you guys," and my friend Leah was laughing because 'cause I'm, like, holding on to the seats and stuff, and I was like, "All right, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay." And then we get to the top, and she's like, "All right, we gotta take the chairlift," and I was like, "The what?" It's just like, "Yeah,
They're
that thing,"
equally
and I
as
was like, "Uh-uh."
terrifying.
That's
That
worse
when
because
that
you don't have
one
anything encasing you.
and you're just looking out over like 1 billion acres and unlimited map. I just do this the whole time in it. Everybody, if you've
It
ever
was
rode in it,
absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
yeah, the views are great if you can. So when I
Mhm.
how I see the view, because I sit in the floor of the gondola, it doesn't scare me if I hold my phone up and I look through my phone
Really?
cam. Yeah, and when I look through my phone camera, my body doesn't instinctually get scared. Don't try it next time you're out
Interesting.
there. Yeah, get your camera as close
Huh.
as I just sit down and I'm holding it up in the air. But yeah, I'm not
Well,
scared when
I
I look through the lens.
I'm working on my fear of exposure right now because I was fine before and then I went off of the mountain and now I'm like a little bit timid from it and I need to get over it because I do plan on going to Silver Kings this year and I would like to race it. So I have to face that fear.
I was there with Max one year and he broke his foot beforehand. And so he
Oh
didn't
no.
want to ride his bike down when the race ends, the riders have to stay up there because you come down in a parade. That at least back
Mhm.
then you did. And so he was hurt and he was like, I'm just gonna ride the gondola down, you bring my bike down, Gator. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I was on roads that cars could drive on. I was going so slow. One of my buddies, Kelly Burton, came up beside me and he's like, dude, I'll just ride beside you. You got it. You're fine. I was trying to
Yeah.
ride down a full-blown road. It was a fire road, so a fire truck could go down it. I could not
Yeah.
get my body to move. Like, I've never rode a bike up to the top of Silver again. Like, it,
Oh my god, that's
I don't
crazy.
even take my bikes out west anymore. After I did Grinding Stone the 1 year, I've never had a bike out west again. I will for the
Wow.
Burrows shoot. I'll just be on one of Webb's YZs.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I still do, but I used to smoke a lot more weed than I did. And when you smoke weed, it gets your like equilibrium off. And so when
Mhm.
you get up with heights, you're not as dialed where the edge is because your equilibrium's
Mhm.
off. Like, and so it would just magnify it. And so now that I don't
Yeah.
smoke near as much as I did back in the day, I'm anxious to see if I've gotten any better at it, like, now that I'm not as unbalanced, I guess, like,
Well, you're, like, getting, like, clammy hands just talking about it. So,
my hand
like
on the videos of me on the gondola, you my hand, when I squeeze it like this, water goes out of the cracks and will drip out onto the
Oh my
floor,
god.
so much come if I watch a rock climbing video, just sitting here pumping sweat out, like,
Oh my god. There's a guy that I watch on Instagram. He does running in I think it's Iran and he like runs up the sides of the mountain and it's just like it looks like a smooth rock face and he's just like running up it without holding on. He's just like arms pumping and I was like, "Oh my god." Like how do you practice for that?
Do
Like
you see the
I
videos of
don't
the boys riding dirt bikes on those just like ridges of a it's like it looks like it's that I don't know what the result
yeah.
is if they it's obviously not death or they wouldn't be there, but it looks like
Yeah.
death to me, like
Well, that's what it felt like. So when I fell at that event, they had told me like the single track goes through this one area and it's gonna go like around the side of the mountain, but it doesn't it's not steep except in this one spot, and it's like a 20-foot section of steep, and then the rest of it, if you fall off, it's graded, like, it's like a slope. So, but it's just that one spot, and like last year a dude went off of it and like he broke his like 3 ribs, he broke his arm, his femur, like all this stuff. He got airlifted out. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Um, but yeah, if it's just that 20-foot section, like I'll just be really careful, right? Not a big deal. So we're going through, I had gone up and I was feeling really, really good because I was on, it's basically a bunch of A riders that I was with, and I am definitely not an A rider, but I was feeling good. And so we get through the single track and we're on the side, and I'm like, okay, this must be the mountain, we're about to go around it. I can see the trail ahead of me, and it's definitely like slopes, but this grass is all overgrown. So like it's overgrown to the point where you can't see over like the handlebars of the bike. And I was like, okay, well, this is creepy because I can barely see the
Yeah.
trail. And I was like, this is sketchy. All right. And then it's like it started to open up, and that's where the cliff was. That's so I see it and I'm like, okay, keep looking forward, make sure I'm not looking that way. And then I hit this rock, and the rock like dislodged between me hitting it with my front tire and my back tire. And it was about this big around. It was pretty big, and it dislodged and it just knocked me, and I just went face first down the ridge. So
Fuck yeah.
I
Did the
was
bike
like
stay
in
up
that,
top, or did the bike come
nope,
down too?
nope. So I went face first. I went over the bars and then kind of like tried to roll to the side. The bike went over me. It smashed like into me. I think the only thing that saved me was that the bars hit a rock, and so it wasn't full force onto me. But it was pretty dang heavy. And the bike stopped a little ways up and I kept going down. So I was about probably about 25 or 30 feet down by the end of it.
Damn.
And yeah, we couldn't get my bike back up, so they had to ride it down the rest of the way and then take it back up and then come back.
Come
So,
back
because it
around. Did you
was
go
so
back
steep.
across then, or did somebody else drive it across the bad
No,
spot?
my brake was messed up. Um, my axle was loose on my back tire. My bars were bent. My clutch lever was bent. Um, there was something else. I don't remember what it was. There was a whole bunch of stuff. So my bike was rideable, but it was not like super
In
good. And because it was
survival
such,
mode.
yeah, it was such skinny single track, I was like, we were supposed to be at lunch already at this point. It was like an hour past the lunch point that we were supposed to meet. So we backtracked and took the fire roads to get to the lunch spot. I got checked out. Everyone flocked around my bike and they fixed it. It was like bike fairies came and they were just like, "Oh, does anybody have this tool? We need this and we need that." And everybody just rallied and it was so cool. But what sucked is that that was my first ride here. And so like, everybody now knows me as the girl who fell off the mountain. I
The
was
girl that
like,
went took the bad line.
"Oh, what an introduction." That's the only line. But, I mean, people saw the rock, so but, yeah, it was ridiculous. But, I mean, everybody the guy behind me even said, like, there was no way you could have prevented that. That was like a freak accident. It wasn't something that I did wrong with my technique or anything like that. It just something that you couldn't have prevented. And I think that makes it a little scarier. Like at least like if I had done something wrong, at least then I could just be like I could change that for the next time. But
I
now
hit
there's
the
that little bit
mystery
of fear.
rock and broke some ribs,
Yeah.
and I've never gone as fast as I went back then. Like it just rocked me. It came out of nowhere. I felt the thing hit me in the fillings in my teeth and just came off instantly. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And it was the
Yeah.
mystery rock that sends you into the death roll.
Mhm. Yeah, it is it's not fun, but I face my fears and I try and hit things head on. So now I know that I have a little bit of that fear from exposure. And that's kind of what caused a lot of my falls when I was in that hard enduro thing a couple weeks ago. So I need to face the exposure and I need to just do it until I'm better at
Here,
it and it doesn't bother me anymore. So that's
knock it
my
out.
that's my thing. Yeah.
I'm not
I
going
I
up
tr-
on any mountains.
It'll be really interesting to hear how St. George goes for you.
Yeah, we'll see. I won't, because it's they're up there on it, and I'm forcing. I mean, how often do you get to go ride with all those guys? The last thing I'm gonna let
Yeah.
hold it up is my fear of heights, and so I'm like, "You're just manning up, buddy. Follow it." I'm like, I've also never rode a YZ, so I'll be on a bike I've never rode before, riding stuff I'm scared of with people that are paid to ride. Like everything's lining up to look like it should be real good for me.
They're
Like,
good decisions. No, but these are
yeah,
things like you said, like, who gets to do that, right? Like, if you get the opportunity, why not? Like, I mean, I had the opportunity to go on a trail ride with a bunch of people who were A-level riders and above, to include Graham Jarvis, and, like, I am, like, at the time, we'll say I was, like, probably, like, an E or F rider.
she didn't even go
I
D. She
was just
went below. She just bought the
like,
bike. Like,
I was so, like, not confident, and, like, I was like, "I don't know why I'm doing this," but I did, and, I mean, it pushed me. I did my first ever hill climb that day, like, true hill climb, like, pinned completely up, and I didn't loop the bike, I did not make it, but I did not loop the bike, so that was cool, but, I mean, who gets those kinds of opportunities to do that kinda stuff with pros and stuff like you were saying, so I was like, "Fuck it." I mean, worst that happens is I die, and,
give it a
like,
try.
you
Worst
know,
happens is
I
death.
I died on this ride with Graham Jarvis, like, why
Yeah.
not? So, but now I don't actually say that phrase anymore, so my new thing is that instead of saying, "What's the worst that could happen?" I say, "What's the best that could happen?" So,
Uh,
it removes all the negativity, it removes all of that, like, moment of mental doubt in my head. So when I see a feature that I'm nervous about, I say, "What's the best that could happen if I hit this?" And I really commit to it. And so then I'm envisioning me making it and looking really cool doing it in my head. But at least, in real life, every time I've just made it. Maybe it
Looking
wasn't as cool
cool.
looking as it yeah, but, the one time I did do a wheelie, but then nobody had their GoPro on, so there's no evidence, but
Missed it.
I know.
She knew it was there. She felt it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, but yeah, so that's my new thing, so try that when you're out there and you're scared, just be like, "What's the best thing that could happen?" And then just do it.
Give it a try. Yeah, I lack confidence, commitment,
Yeah.
massive commitment issues when it comes to the bike. Like I, yeah, yeah, I'm a lack of commitment. I need to do that more.
That's crazy, cause like, you've been riding for a while, so I'm the opposite. When I'm on my bike, I have a stupid amount of confidence, like, I'm like, "Yeah, I could probably hit that. I could probably make it," and then I just do it. The few times that I do hesitate or I stop, like, I just posted a reel today. I stopped and I was just, like, so in my head about something. It wasn't even bad. So then the next time I hit a feature that looked even remotely similar, I was just like, "Nah, I made it over that other thing, so I'm gonna make it over this, no problem." And then
It's
I just have that confidence, and I don't know if
res
that's smart or not, but
responsibilities has taken some of my confidence. I was
Mhm,
riding this last week, 2 weeks ago with Chase, my buddy. He works for the series too. He rides the other Shark Oats as official, and
mhm,
he's younger than me. He's 24 in his prime, as primes can be, and he's a hell of a rider. And so, like, when I met him a couple years ago, I was better than him. He was faster and younger, but
yeah.
he had a Honda. He'd never rode hard enduro, so it took him a couple years. But like this last week, we were riding, and he's like, I was like, "Oh, I'm taking it pretty easy today." He's like, "I noticed." Like, and he's like, "You didn't hit anything." And I was like, "Honestly, bro, in 2 weeks, I fly out to Cody's house to build these YZs to go to King of Hammers in the Burrows, and I think they're, like, gonna be the 2 biggest, funnest weeks of my current life, like, and then I
Mhm.
have Cammy at home. I'm doing the big paint job right now, which is gonna fund the family while I go play and live the dream, like, so yeah, as
Yeah.
I got older, it wasn't even that I'm a pansy, I just, like, think through stuff, and I'm like, "I can't try that rock chase. If I fall to the right and hurt my wrist, I can't go to work, and I may not be able to build Cody's motor, and I can't do la la." So turn me into a pussy. It's not great, but yeah, older and responsibilities. My daggone commitment has just gone down on the bike. I'm like, well, just stay up on the trail. Let me shoot some video of you doing that, man. Let me get that footage. Let me get the footage.
At least you're being useful though.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
cop out
I
now
have
is the
had the
footage.
opposite. I'm 34. I'm almost 35 and I'm just getting into this stuff. Like I am it's just me. I don't have somebody to fall back on. If I hurt myself, I'm out. And I'm just like I don't have an income because I work with my hands. So
Oh,
everything that I do, I'm a lab tech. Everything is fine motor movements. So I have to be able to use my hands. I have to be able to use my arms. Legs, probably not so much. I could probably get around in a wheelchair if I need
we're
to.
gonna
But
make it
um
work.
yeah, like I don't have somebody to fall back on to take care of me. And so I probably should be a little bit more conscious of that, but at the same time I'm like, I let fear run my life for a really long time. I had a lot of anxiety and so I just try not to have those fears right now. And if something happens, I will figure it out because I always do. Whatever comes my way, I figure it out. But I could definitely see how like having a kid would change things and like that's a different kind of responsibility. So I totally
Being
get
a
it.
Which I've gotten better with money now, and so maybe I can be a little riskier this year. I got some extra money set back, so I could take a small injury and and not be a little stay afloat a little better than traditionally.
Yeah. Well, there you go. This will be feel out the year and see how it
Yeah,
goes. See how St. George goes. Maybe you'll get some courage out there and you'll just be like hit something and it'll be awesome.
I haven't rode with like Ryder and them for probably 3 years ago. I think I took everybody to Wellsville in Ohio. I didn't take them. I just started organizing it. Like Quinn knows Wellsville, and I was like, "Hey, let's get everybody to go this weekend." And I got so messed up, and that's when the first time I trail rode with them, and I realized like I can't even trail ride with them. So, and let me tell you,
Those guys don't trail ride. They just train like all the time. They just take it as
they
like
are
competition.
getting it. The bike setup is very important, but I've had the identical bike that Cody Webb has had for 3 years straight. Whatever he does to his, I would do to my Sharko. It did not. I still was a sea level rider. Like I was on a full factory bike, and it changed. It changed not a lot. Like, it helped a ton, but, like, didn't make me that much better. Those guys Cody gets on a stock YZ and can do shit that we can't do on his built Sharko, like, or on Tristan's KTM. But
Oh, that's great.
as you know, seat time, get out there and ride that thing, and
Mhm.
but you gotta be
Yeah.
in shape to a hair. I'm so far out of shape, I can't ride. Maybe I'm just getting 40 I guess I broke when I had that motorcycle wreck, I keep saying I turned 36 or 7 and everything went downhill from there, but I'm like, I did tear an LCL, break both wrists, and lay in bed for 2 months, and maybe that was
Yeah.
part of why I didn't come back, but, like, I'm like, "Watch out for
Just
35, man."
maybe.
35 to
Don't say that.
37
I'm
hit me
about to be
hard.
35 is next month for me. So
Stay off the street bikes. Do you street bike ride or
no, I had a Grom for like 6 months and then I was out on the back roads in Minnesota on it and I almost got hit by a semi and I sold it a couple weeks later. I was like
wrapped it
not doing
up?
this anymore. I was like nope. I've been on one bike since then on the street and that was my buddy's Harley Sportster. Um I don't know what gave me the confidence to get on that, but he offered me to ride it, and I thought it was a 500, and it was 1200. So I was really mad at him later when I found that out because I was like, dude, I was flying down the highway. I was
Did
like,
you
I
ride it
need
by
to just
yourself?
not do this.
Did you ride
Yeah,
it by
I wrote it
yourself?
myself. Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I'm
We
saying.
haven't.
Like, I don't know where I got the confidence from. I was just like, he gave me the bike and he's like, here you go. And I was like, I can ride it. I don't know. I could barely touch the ground. Every time we hit a stop sign, I was like, oh, please don't let me drop his bike. Please don't let me drop his
So
bike.
kept it up.
Oh my God, it was crazy. But it was a really fun day. We went really far and but it was really scary still. I was like the whole time just like stupid drivers everywhere and I just it's too stressful. And I think that's probably going to be really hilarious. My mom listens to these. She's going to laugh because she thinks that what I do out on the trail is stressful. So,
On it. Yeah, we haven't been back. I had a road bike here on Chase, my buddy. He has the same bike I wrecked,
mhm,
and he had it at my house all summer. And I rode it 2 times, and I don't.
mhm.
I loved riding. I ride street bike 200 something days a year. The adventure
Wow.
bikes have big bags on them, so you could take it to the grocery store. You could take it to do stuff, and yeah, my love for the ride was not there anymore. I was checking everything out and watching other people, which I did before, but once somebody else causes you to wreck, I don't it didn't come back to me
Mhm.
this year. We'll see next year. I'll try it again, see if I didn't love it. I wasn't scared or anything, but I wasn't like, my family wasn't excited. I was out on a bike. It didn't the fun I was having didn't outweigh the other emotions that other people were having about me on the bike, and so I was like, I don't need to
Yeah.
ride yet. I'm not vibing it. I'm not
Yeah.
not vibing it, but it wasn't what it was before the I don't remember I got knocked out for 19 hours, and so, like, I never knew we were in a wreck, nothing. I don't remember the days
Wow.
before, I don't remember any of it. I came to and I was naked in a shower with my dad sitting outside the door, like, and I was like, "Dad?" It's like, "Where am I?" And he's like, "You was in a bad wreck, bud." And I'm like, "What the happened?" And that started to put it they didn't know I had broken I know no they didn't know anything was hurt on me really because I wasn't talking.
Mhm.
And once I started talking, I
Yeah.
was like, "I think my hands are broke, Dad." And so we started doing everything and finding broken shit all
Oh my
over me
God.
and fixing it up. But my wife was 19 or 21 weeks pregnant when we had the wreck. And luckily, we T-boned dead square. They were stopped and I was going
Mhm.
55. And she just airmailed over it and did like, I don't know, somersaults over in the air. And she landed on her feet, twisted her ankle, fell to her knee, chipped her kneecap, and then landed on an elbow real hard. And was perfectly like I mean, she was tore up from doing the thing, but like in general, she was like within a couple weeks, she was just shook up and over it, like through the pain and stuff. So she got
Yeah.
super lucky. The baby was perfectly fine in the affair. And but what got us is
Mhm.
we were on comm systems, like we were helmets with comms in them and,
Mhm.
I was knocked out, but I was moaning, just, and they wouldn't take her helmet
Mhm.
off of her because they were just hold until the medics got there, and so
Yeah.
I didn't make it over the car, I hit the car and went down on that side, and she went over the car, and so she said she
Yeah.
doesn't know, 10 or 15 minutes, she just heard me in the helmet going, she thought I was dying, and they wouldn't let her up to see me
Yeah.
or so she is totally traumatized by the
Yeah.
event, rightfully so, and me, on the other hand, I woke up hours later and was like, I have no recollection, no fear of any of it because I didn't happen to me, like, I wasn't there, I was there, but I love motorcycles, I was apparently in a wreck, I don't remember it though, and so people are like, "You're riding again?" I'm like, I think I would be wrong if I quit riding. Like for my daughter, I want to ride again. I don't want her to somebody took something I love from me and I don't
Yeah.
may not ride 10,000 miles a year like we did before, but I want to not quit riding because we had an accident, someone else calls, then it was so scary we had to quit riding the dangerous motorcycles, you know. So just
Yeah.
learning to balance, bring an older little bike out and take it to a show or something instead of going across country on it.
Yeah, for sure. So, bringing up your daughter in our last little bit here, um, do you think she'll be into riding?
Oh yeah, she's a bowling ball. She is nothing hurts her. Uh, she can
Yeah.
she can face plant, hit her head on the ground. Like she does. I hang out with some other little kids. They be soft. I'm like, oh, she's good. She is rock solid. But yeah, I hope. I don't know. You never know because like I work for Keith Curtis and Cody Webb.
Mhm.
Keith Curtis's kid is obsessed with riding. Cody's doesn't have much interest
Mhm.
in it. He likes it, but nothing like
Yeah.
he's not the danger factor, where Keith's kid has got the danger factor. So, I mean, she's got we don't have a Stasic yet, but she's got a Strider, she's got a P-Dub, she's got everything I can buy other than the Stasic because I don't want the batteries to sit until she's ready for it.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
the opportunity is gonna be sitting there at her door. We'll see if she shows interest in everything now, but she doesn't have enough she can't reach the ground on the Strider, so it has to stay on the rocking horse thing, but she turned 1 in December, and, she a lot of
Yeah.
one-year-olds don't even walk, and, like, she is a
Mhm.
walk, what? She does stairs, she gets on the couch, off the couch, like, sometimes she face plants off the couch, you hear the thump, and you're wait I'm like, "Man, she quit crying, she don't cry anymore when she falls," like, so but,
Oh
yeah,
my
she,
god, that's crazy.
I think she'll ride, but that's gonna be my next Cody retires in 3 years, and hopefully he keeps me around for the spree, and so she'll be
Yeah.
4 by then, so she'll be coming up into the but we'll have to leave hard enduro and do some, like, GNCCs or full sprints where they have the little kids track set up, because hard enduro is
Yeah.
not friendly for, uh we had a Stasic race at one hard enduro event. And it was a big
Yeah.
hit. I can't remember where it was. It was at one of them this year. We'll
It
definitely be
wasn't
doing
one
that.
that I was at, I don't think, but yeah, I think that those would be great. I know the Brady camps, I think it's Brandon's son, his like 4 just turned 4, but he's on his little KTM and he does hard enduro with like
On
Bentley and
it.
Thad. He goes and he like, yeah, he will hit stuff on it and there's videos of that little kid. I mean, it's just little sand hills, but for a 3 or 4 year old, that's pretty big. And he's going up it, and
Ah,
he like picks up his bike, and he's a little beast, man. He's gonna be crazy in a
uh,
few years. So,
I
like, I
if
could
Cam
definitely see
had
her being like that.
if she has her mom's body, because her mom is not she's skinny, but not petite. She's,
Yeah.
5'8" and 100, not 85 pounds. Like so if she has her mom's build, I'm little and I'm
Mhm.
scrawny. So I'm not the one. If I was like, if she could get her mom's body with her mom's temper, like her mom's toughness, I was like, she may be good at it. Like, so
Yeah.
we'll see. But apparently, as like I said, I'm learning. You can't obviously Cody Webb's kid, you think would just he grew up with the bike, you know what I mean? And so it's just going to
Yeah.
come. It's gonna come when they want it to come, which I'm
Yeah.
new to.
Yeah.
I never was around kids. I wasn't an anti-kid person, but there's some people that are just like love kids, and I was just like, oh yeah, that thing just shit itself. I didn't. I don't have a whole lot of
Yeah.
experience. My first one is who I've got the most experience with. So like now that I've got her, I'm like paying attention to other people and how their kids are doing and how they're raising them and trying to take
Mhm.
notes so that I can be better.
It's always about being better, but I think you guys are doing great. She seems really happy, and that's the most important thing. And if she wants to ride, you're gonna be there to support her, and I think that that's really awesome. You've got a
She's
wealth of knowledge, so you're the best person to teach her.
she's definitely never gonna she's never gonna see a ball. There's not a ball at our property. But I don't do sports. I just don't care about sports. And so, like, people are like, "What
Yeah.
if she plays basketball or something?" I said, "I don't know where she's gonna find one." Like, there's no football, there's no balls on our property, like, there's moose balls, and that's it, like,
Yeah. That would
so
be
she
really
will be
funny if
she'll
her
be
being like
guided
some
towards dirt
superstar at
bikes.
like softball.
That'll be my luck. She'll be into cheer, I mean, I'll go whatever she's gonna be into, but, like, yeah, she's definitely set up to be into dirt bikes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think it builds a lot of resilience, especially in these younger kids who are doing it such young ages. Like Brad, like I said, he started when he was 3. Um, but all these younger guys who are like 12, 13, 14, the resilience that you get from doing something like hard enduro at that age is insane. Like, how much is that going to set them up for their life? It'll be really interesting to see their progression through the years because, like, dirt bikes just teach you so much, and hard enduro teaches you a lot. And like I said, that resilience, you use that in every aspect of your life. That like bulletproofing your mindset to just keep going and just keep pushing, like that's huge in life. So I think that the world can only get better if more younger kids get into hard enduro.
Get her in. Even if she's just on the XR, I want her we live out in the country, and I
Yeah,
kids are the gamers, and kids have no freedom anymore. I grew up in the backwoods. Once I turned 5 or 6, we didn't have the parents knew where we were, but we were on our own, like, I would be back there doing
yeah,
whatever I wanted to do, and so you can I don't know, my goal is her to at least get on her little three-wheeler, her four-wheeler, and drug her little wagon back into the woods and go behind a tree where I can't tell where I know where she is back there, but you know what I mean? I want her to be back there making some
yeah,
of her own decisions and learning time and just I don't know. I want it to be I see the moto dads that I don't want to be. And so I'm like just
hmm,
taking notes, making sure like that dad most of these kids are not going to earn a living from their bikes. It's going to be for
yeah,
teaching them life skills and stuff like that. And so you see the parents that think their
yep,
kid's about to make the living from it, and it's you're just I don't know, you're not proving any you're not teaching that kid any skills from your side of things, certainly. I see how you're acting out there, bud, like, that's embarrassing.
yeah.
So, hopefully, I can guide her correctly. If she wants to go all the way, she'll have the best setup bike, period. Whether whether she utilizes
Yep.
it or not, like, she'll be on a setup bike. The boys will be like, "Damn, you got all that?" Like, "Yes, I do. My dad knows somebody." Like,
That'll be great. I love it. I can't wait to see that. It's a couple years, but
I bought her some
unfortunately, time goes by really fast.
she's got Yamaha clothes now. The Sharko clothes are out and the Yamaha clothes are in. Like, it's a lot easier to buy Yamaha clothes than it is Sharko clothes. There's
Yeah, it's a new
lot more
era.
options. Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit more friendly for all of that stuff. I did notice that, like, because I didn't know what Sherco was until last year, and, I was like, "What the heck is Sherco?" 'Cause I didn't see one until I went out east, and that was the first time I'd ever seen one. I was like, "What is this?" Um, and I was like, I just never heard of it. I never saw one in Minnesota or Iowa or Wyoming or North Dakota. So, like, the whole Midwest, I was like, I don't are there even any Shercos out there?
Sharko, never heard of her. Like,
Yeah. I was like, "What?" But they're all over on the East Coast, so it's just interesting how that happened. I showed up to the East Coast and I was like, "These bikes are everywhere, like, what is this?" But
and I'm anxious to see how
yeah, it's definitely,
I'd never heard of it until Cody
what?
got on it, till Cody got on one. And now that
Yeah.
like Cody's kind of off, lots of people rode that thing because Cody rode it. And so I'm anxious to see
Mhm.
how if I don't know, it's just the guy is off of it and we'll
The sh
see
the
how it
following
affects the
happens, yeah.
yeah. Though the Yamahas will be there next
Yeah.
year. I don't know how many will be there this year, but they'll be out there next year. You count on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
It'll be really interesting to see that shift and how people start modifying them to make them better for hard enduro and everything like you guys are having to do. But there's going to be people who are doing that on their own dime and everything and trying to figure it out on their own. So it'll be really cool to see all this ingenuity that's going to happen.
they only cost $8,000 brand new, which is 5 grand or four
Yeah.
grand less than a retail of another one of a big box
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Maybe it'll make it a little bit more affordable, like a little bit more accessible for people, and help with that. So, like
There's so
the
much stuff
growth
available
progression.
for them.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really cool. I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know a whole lot from like I can't talk about like this part and that part and everything. I don't know enough about that stuff, but it's still really cool to see how excited people are and it is a new era, I feel like, of hard enduro that's coming in. So
It
we'll kind of see
it
where it
seems like
goes. It's
half the
exciting.
world has a YZ in their garage. It's like, oh yeah, I bought one back in
Yeah.
2015 and didn't get rid of it. I'm pulling it out. I'm like, you guys just have these YZs laying around? Like
Mhm. Yeah, I know a lot of people who have them. It's funny that you say that. So yes,
people
I
like
feel like
have them.
yeah.
Like they didn't want to sell them. They're like,
Mhm.
"That was too good to sell. I wasn't worth the 4 grand to sell it. I just kept it." I'm like, "Hell yeah! Well, lucky for you, Cody's figured out how to make that thing run better." Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Well, in our last few minutes here, this is your time to do any of your shout outs, thank yous, anything like that.
I mean, I've done half my shout outs already. My biggest shout out is Cody Richelderfer. He's the one that's, I mean, I put in the time to get weaseled around, but he's the one that took time out of his life and risked. He brought me on to be his right hand man, and I'd never even done wire tie before. Like, and so he was my guy. But then just, I mean, we have randoms. It's hopefully Yamaha is going to be my new gig. Like within days of Webb talking to them, we're working on me getting a deal to get a bike and stuff. But I mean, Webb, Musgrove, all the boys just keeping me around for some reason. I'm not
It's
complaining.
the mullet, definitely.
The mullet and the Winnebago, like they're just out there waiting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I really appreciate you taking this time. Like I said, I know it's really hard to, get you to sit down, first of all. You're doing a million different things going across the country. So I really, really appreciate it. This was really fun.
Well, thank you for reaching out. I'm glad we made it work.
Yeah, this is great. Well, I guess I will see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. I'll be out in Cali life.
All right, sounds good. Well, I will talk to you then.
All right, thank you. Nice talking to you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.